Now I'm very excited to welcome back a fantastic sports bettor and longtime friend of the show, Mr. Ron Marmolewski from the Inside Blitz. You can follow Ron on Twitter at Ron Ace Sports. Ron, here we are, college football. We're halfway. We're halfway past the regular season. Good news is we have bowl season and playoffs that go into January. So before we used to have an earlier season, but we have a lot of college football to talk about still, don't we?
We sure do. And Kiev, it's a pleasure to be back with you on the show, live and in person, to talk the sport that I follow the most, college football and the NFL. That's really it. I have an off season, but I guess I have an off season because I'm studying football in the off season. This is the time, and I just love talking about the games and the sport.
All right. Well, I'm having a quick audio issue. Let me just refresh this. And I think we are back, Ron. So yeah, they're doing internet work, of course, in my area. And there you go. That's always tough to do. But now that we're back, let's talk some college football and playoffs, my friend. What's funny is like you have some teams that are undefeated and you have some teams that are good. But I'm curious, pick your brain a little bit, Ron. Which one of these teams, or you can say either make the playoffs or bust. All right, just a little fun little exercise that we can do. Ready?
Ready.
Let's do it. Okay, we'll start with Georgia Tech. Are they playoffs or bust?
I think they're trending more towards playoffs with one exception. ACC and the Big 12, for that matter, they are going to be measured against what they do against SEC teams. I firmly believe the SEC, who only got in 3 teams last year, will get in 4 or 5 this year. So their score matters when they play Georgia. But if they're 11-1 and they get into the ACC playoff game, I would lean more playoffs as opposed to bust.
Okay, I'm going to lean bust because I feel, and I bet them to win the ACC, but I think Miami's too powerful. And let's face it, they're playing Miami unless something crazy happens throughout the rest of the season. But the problem is they're going to lose to Georgia most likely. And that's going to be a 2-loss, 1 regular season loss, Georgia Tech. I would think they'll sneak Notre Dame in ahead of them in that situation. I mean, and now if something crazy happens and they win one of those 2 games, absolutely. But I think that their schedule, was great. And this was the first team that I bet in the spring to go over their season win total. But I mean, NC State, at Boston College, Pitt at home's a little tricky, but they should almost have an undefeated schedule, if not when they hit Georgia. What about BYU, my friend? We just saw them beat Utah last week. Undefeated BYU.
Yeah, selfishly, I'm going to say no because BYU is going to owe me money at the end of the year because I have a season ticket win under, and they found ways to win during the year. Their freshman quarterback grew up in a hurry. The Big 12 is clustered. Texas Tech has my highest power rating, but BYU is in a group of 5 or 6 teams that are just lookalikes. This is a big one this week against Iowa State. I think they may run into some trouble down the road, and they may have to win the title game to get in.
I'm also going to call them frauds, and they would have to win the title game as well, which is possible. But as of right now, I just still think Texas Tech is the team that is the best in this division. And crazy scenario, Andrew Clark is chiming in. What if Notre Dame, Miami, and Texas A&M finish with 2 losses and none of them win their conference? Yeah. Miami gets in because they beat Notre Dame, but I've seen stupid things happen in the past. Texas A&M, is that what you're saying? A&M? I don't know, man. I think that I have them power rated really high though, Ron. I like A&M to make it in with 2 losses.
Yeah, and Notre Dame of those three is my highest power rated team. I was intentionally a little bit lower on Miami with my power rating because I know that coach kind of does some things that has you shaking your head and they find a way to lose some games. If recency is a factor, and it doesn't always come into play with football as opposed to basketball, if Notre Dame runs the table, they should get in regardless of the fact that they lost to A&M because they will have reeled off 10 in a row.
Absolutely. And what's up, Bobby? Morning to some. Yeah, he says afternoon. Glad to see you back, Ron, as
Thank
I
you.
am as well. Ole Miss. What about Ole Miss, Ron? Are they making it in or are we leaving them out?
You know, this is a weird one because last year's team was about 6 or 7 power rating points better than this year's team. But last year's schedule was brutal with their schedule quirks and their trap games and the tough games that they had to go on the road. So they have a schedule that gets them in. But I actually think they're not as good as last year. I'm leaning that they do get in because there could be, like I said, as many as 5 SEC teams this year. I don't think they're good enough to get in, but I like the schedule.
Absolutely. And their schedule is decent, but they have the loss at Georgia now. And now at Oklahoma, they're 4.5-point dogs. So I assume loss. And then at Mississippi State or home against Florida is tough.
Yeah.
This is the most 50-50 one out of them all. But I will say no, because this is how Lane runs. He loses 3 games, then he complains at the end. Let's move into Vandy. What about good old Vanderbilt, man? Maybe one of the best stories in college football.
Oh, man. It's not an easy schedule down the stretch. They're an easy team to root for with Pavia and the coaching staff and everything that's going on there. Their ideal situation to me is to go 10-2 and not play in the SEC title game so that in case they get blown out in that game. If they go 10-2, they're in. It may come down to the final at Tennessee. I'm going to lean no, but believe me, Vandy has done the impossible this year with their power rating being higher than I've ever set for Vandy in 4 decades.
I'm going to go yes with Vandy. Pavia mania, my friend. He's not a loser. He always finds a way to win. This is the year he gets Tennessee, right? Well, let's hope so. Real tough game at Texas, but Texas doesn't have much of an offense. Got to get by Missouri, Auburn, and Kentucky. Should be wins. I'm liking Vandy. Let's go Vanderbilt. Do I have any left? Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan, their best case is to run the table again and miss that title game so they don't have that third loss in the Big Ten. That's basically 3 deep with Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon. I don't think they get in, but then they've beaten Ohio State 4 in a row. And if they don't get in, it's a 3 teams only in the Big Ten.
I've been on Michigan against Ohio State the past 3-4 years, but now I'm going to be on Ohio State. Michigan's out. Tennessee, really tough here. I would say no because I said Vandy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying no because I think they'll lose out on tiebreakers if they're 9-3, and they lack a signature win.
I had a beer bet banger on them too to make it plus 240, but whatever. I still say no. If it was plus 120, I wouldn't take it, right? What about Oklahoma? Are they making a comeback here?
Oklahoma, similar to Texas Tech, which we haven't covered, but I think the committee will give some deference to the fact that Mateer played hurt against Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the winner of the Oklahoma-Mississippi game has a really good inside track to get in. And I said no for Mississippi because I thought Oklahoma might win this game. So therefore, I'll say yes to Oklahoma. They do have to show up against Tennessee and LSU, but I'm going to lean yes to Oklahoma. That defense is pretty good.
I'm going to say no, unfortunately. They have the hardest schedule here on out at Tennessee, at Bama. Maybe they win one of those, but then you have a Missouri and an LSU that's going to be hungry there.
Yeah,
how's going to beat Ole Miss this week? Oh, real tough for them.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe Mateer gets it done. I think Mateer, proving me wrong. He has been fantastic. Texas Tech, I'm going to say in. Texas Tech wins the Big 12.
Yeah, the committee, again, I think they should give some deference to the fact that they didn't have their starting quarterback against Arizona State. Came back, took the lead, but Arizona State beat them at the end. I think they're still in, especially if they run the table and then they lose in the Big 12 title game. I still think 11-2 would get them in. I think they're playing like they're a playoff team, so I'll agree with you.
All right. Well, there we go. Ron agrees with that. Let's move on to the next segment then. We have improved teams. So, who are like the most improved teams since week one? And I don't mean since last year. Like you saw something on week one and maybe they weren't as good in your power ratings.
Yeah, so I'm going to pick two teams that lost week one and how much they've improved on their power ratings and how much they've improved. The first one, Cincinnati. They used to lose all the close games. They just found a way to lose. Their stat sheet in 2024 and 2023 screamed winning record and bowl game, but they never got there. Well, this year they're closing things out, and they're 6-0 since that week one 3-point loss. That was a toss-up game to Nebraska. They found ways to win the close games. So I think they're improved. I definitely think they're improved. And then I would pick one off the radar, one that I talked maybe even with you about. How do you set rosters? How do you set power ratings for teams that have 70 new players? So I struggled with Southern Miss. I knew they were improved and I bet them on the season win total over, but I didn't quite know how to set their power rating because it was so rock bottom low in 2024. They lost week one as well. Obviously, new staff, new players. We didn't know how much it would come together. Well, it's really come together since then. They're up 9 power rating points for me since week one. And I think you have to take them seriously in conference play and overall.
Absolutely. Southern Miss, I was high on them early, got burned on them, but they're coming back and they just hit their season win total over at 5. So we all got paid on that bait. That was fun. I'm going to go with Kennesaw State, and you saw it last night. Everyone was on FIU. I stayed away, thank God, because I would have leaned FIU, and they took care of business. But you remember the week before, they took care of business against LA Tech, who can't seem to manage a clock, as we saw last night. Oh my God, that should have been a win. They blew that. It's like, how much do you pay these coaches and all the staff, and you can just pay someone to do your get your wins for you via.
Yeah, it's hard with some of these coaches. They make crucial decisions that are against the norm, and it costs them.
I mean, obviously, losing to Florida State game, but Alabama is certainly in my books for most improved. Vanderbilt, we got to give it to Vandy. I'm up on the power ratings on Vandy. How can you not be, right? James Madison as well. I even started them pretty high, but I've had to keep raising them. Like James Madison played like a Rutgers or Wisconsin, I hate to say, but they'd smoke them, and that's really the truth. It's a great coach over there as well. San Diego State, massive improvement as well for San Diego State, and they're one of my massively improved teams. So those are mine.
Yeah.
Any comments? Okay.
Agree with all of those. Vandy's up 9.5 power rating points. So technically they're up hot more from week one than anybody else. They did win easily week one, but Vandy's been amazing. I had to move BYU up. Mississippi State has really improved from last year as well.
Yes, absolutely. And Bobby agrees, man. Yeah, honest to God, CFB coaches do not understand time or math. And you know what? They shouldn't have to. Hire an analytics guy. Let them do the coaching. Have another person get in there. They shouldn't have to think about it. Have somebody in their ear, and that's just the growth of the game. And the money's there. The money's there. The money is not there. So absolutely, Bobby. Let's talk buy low, sell high. Give me a buy low team and a sell high team for the upcoming weeks. Doesn't mean you're betting on them this week, but someone you're looking to be on or fade.
Well, it's kind of interesting as I'm going through different teams. In the MAC, Buffalo has certainly not played its best football, but the MAC is open for business. We know Toledo get double-digit favorite. No lead is good for Toledo. They find ways to lose. I think if Buffalo plays a little bit better up to what we thought their preseason expectations were going to be, they're going to surprise some people and start winning by margin. I would pick them. There are some sleeper teams, Iowa State, maybe Navy, but Buffalo would be the one that stands out to me.
Yeah, Buffalo is. I mean, they get the defense, and I agree. It's going to be interesting throughout the schedule. I kind of like Buffalo as a dog in that role myself, so no disagreements with me on that one. I'm going to go with Florida by low. Fired coach angle. Napier's gone. I think the team gets it ready for the biggest cocktail party in the world. How you like that? It's going to be coming on next weekend, and I'm not, of course, Florida. No one's betting on them this weekend. They're not playing, but I don't think they are anyway. I'm gonna buy low on Florida. I'll go with sell high. I'm gonna sell high on Georgia Tech and BYU. I'm gonna be looking to fade them coming up here. I already have a fade in them on BYU this week on a better number, but I'm looking to fade sell high on both of those.
Well, I don't mind the BYU fade. I think I was hoping to find it last week with the Holy War, but Iowa shot itself in the foot, stopped on down so many times there. I'm going to pick a team that other people are high on. I think I could pick the whole Conference USA, but that's one of the worst conferences I've ever seen in my life. But I'm going to pick Missouri. Missouri started the year with a lot of cupcakes at home. They didn't leave their home stadium until after they played 6 games, and they played a tough one against Auburn. They did prevail, but that's because Auburn's kicker, who a year or so ago was 13-13, he was perfect. This year he was really good, and then he was 1-4 against Missouri. Missouri dodged a bullet last week. I like their coach, Drinkowitz. I think he's a fine coach, but I don't think the team is as good as their record. So I would sell high on Missouri right now.
Drinking the Kool-Aid wits. Yeah, I agree with you there. And Andrew, we have to bet Colorado State. I know, dude. I'm not happy about it. I mean, my power rating says not to, but the coach fired Ingles just so funny. It's so good, right? Colorado State with Norvell fired. Oh, God, we're going to have to do this. I mean, sorry, it's a winning angle. You can throw your power ratings away in a lot of cases, Ron. How do you handle that? Do you, if your power ratings really disagrees, but the coach is fired, what do you stay away, or do you sometimes, do you have to have a certain range?
Yeah, if it's a power, I mean, I've done 5-year averages, 10, 15-year averages with power ratings. I will never go against a power rating dog, because those things, even though it used to be 61, 62% when my numbers were off versus the regular numbers, it's still about 56.7% rolling average over the last 5 years and about 70% so far this year. So if it's out of range and I'm supposed to take the dog, I'm only going to take the dog in that one. So I can't get out of that range. But as a favor, if there are other mitigating circumstances, I could possibly go against a line that's off for me. It's closer to 52% in that particular case. But I need some real data. Most likely, it's going to be a pass.
Rarely it's a favorite, though, man. It's rarely because the coach.
You're right about that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's batting almost 100% this year. Funny thing about Virginia Tech is they fired the coach, then they had an FCS game. So I don't remember exactly. I know they won their next FBS game, but I remember seeing that. But yeah, I'll probably be on them. It's down to 4.5. It was 5.5 like this morning, and everyone's jumping on it. So there you go, guys. Let's talk little 6-pack of games, Ron. Why not? Rutgers versus Purdue. I picked this one. And so I will break this down. It's a situation where I know Purdue's quarterback is banged up, and I'm not really. I think this is kind of like one of those home run spots. And sorry, I have to refresh this here. It's a home run spot for Purdue. Home game, homecoming. And I think they're better than their record. Purdue really has been bad at turning the ball over, right? And they're minus 11 in turnover margin. But the Boilers' schedule ranks 15th on Sagarin, and they're still like really close to dead even net yards per play, minus 0.17. I know they pissed everybody off last week against Northwestern when the quarterback went out. But, you look at Rutgers, they're minus 2.19 yards per play. That's a lot. That's a big difference. And their schedule actually ranks less. It's at 30th. If Rutgers plays like they have been, I think Purdue can win this one outright. Their defense ranks 123rd, Rutgers that is, in success rate. Purdue starting quarterback Ryan Brown out, but Malachi Singleton, he's more dynamic. It's not like the completion percentage is that much of a difference. It's 57 for him, small sample size, of course, 59 for Brown. I think this is the one Purdue gets right. I think they actually get a win now. I took the 2.5. I took it at a pretty good deal. I couldn't find enough +3s to give it out, but I took the short dog here on homecoming night at +2.5, Ron, for 2 stars.
Yeah, I think you said all the things that matter to me as well. The stats sheet really likes Purdue in this game. The turnover issue is real, and I mean, you just can't win with -11 turnovers. They actually have a slight edge in the kicking game. You can run on Rutgers. I mean, Rutgers, adjusted for sacks, is allowing over 6 yards per carry. Purdue's running back, I wish he was a little bit better. His yards per carry slightly under 4. He's better than that. He's experienced. A team like Purdue has to learn how to win. That's my only downside, is that some of these teams, they're capable of winning, but they haven't learned how to win. They're still too accustomed to losing, even with the new coach bump and stuff like that. Barry Odom's a very good coach. I agree with you. I think this is a good spot for Purdue. Whether I get to the window, I probably need to see a flat 3, and maybe I'll make it a small play. But on paper, this looks like a good Purdue spot.
And Andrew, Ryan Brown is doubtful, but I'm going to call that out. I think it's really going to be the new Singleton, which I'm cool with. He's the better runner, in my opinion. And this is just a spot where, Rutgers doesn't know how to win either, Ron, too. So that's, you can kind of look at it both ways. When there's 2 bad teams, what's our friend Chris's rule? They always take their points when there's 2 bad teams. So that's an interesting little rule. And maybe you get a 3. I'm still thinking that this could go down even some. It's going to be fun to watch this line. But let's get into a game you picked, Kansas State versus Kansas. And Kansas is, I wrote down -3, total 56.5. I'll double check that. Why don't you get started on this one?
Okay. Well, this is by far my favorite game of the year. I've been looking forward to this game for a long time. And I put it in not because I'm wagering on the game, just because how much this game means to Kansas. They're Kansas State has won 28 of the last 29, not counting the 3 years that Ron Prince coached them. In between Bill Snyder, then Ron Prince, then everybody said, hey, Ron Prince, what are you doing? You're not a coach. Bill Snyder came back and had another good run. They've won, 16 of the last 17 or something like that. I mean, it's been incredibly one-sided. Kansas is well coached. In the last 2 years, they had a lead of over a touchdown in the 4th quarter and lost by 2 points and by 4 points. Both teams are off byes. This whole season will be judged for Kansas whether or not they can win this game. When the stats sheet picks Kansas State, it generally means Kansas State is going to win the game. Kansas State is picked not by much, but they're picked by the stat sheet according to my metrics in this game. But I can't get past the point that Kansas has had them on the ropes the last 2 years. And I just think this is going to be an incredible game. I mean, there can be other games going on that I have wagers on, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to watch this game as much as I can if it's close enough from start to finish. I just love matchups like this. I think you can make a case for either side. I just think it's just going to be a fascinating game, and I had to talk about it.
Oh, it's a wonderful game to talk about. And Kansas needs it, Bobby, but Kansas State owns it since the late 80s. I might, this is one of those rivalry games that I think could finish under 3. That's my problem. I think could be a final score type situation. The field goal down 2, something like that. So it's more money line for me, Ron. Try to find a cheaper money line in this case. But I do like Lance Leopold a lot, and I probably like him a little bit more than Kleinman. And it is a home run spot for Kansas. Kansas State's win against TCU was a little fraudulent. If you remember looking at that box score, it was a situation where TCU kind of just choked and threw some picks and gave the game away. Kansas State should be better than they are, but can you trust that quarterback over there at Kansas State. I can't. I think he's got some head issues, man. And I think the coach knows it. I think the coach kind of wants to move on from him. It's so funny that they got rid of Howard. For him, he goes to Ohio State and wins a national championship, but Avery Johnson has not been doing it for me. 62.8 completion percentage. Takes a lot of sacks, I think it takes a lot of sacks.
I want to add one thing to because there's one thing people should look at in this game. The running back, I'm trying to think what his name. Running back Edwards, he was 7.4 per carry last year. First game against Iowa State on the turf or whatever they play on in Dublin, he fields a punt and he's hurt and he doesn't play essentially a down from the line of scrimmage for the next 3 games. Then he runs 20 for 166 against UCF, which does not have a great defense, runs 10 for 26 at Baylor, and misses the game against TCU, which they still won. If he's in the game, maybe it enhances Kansas State stats. And there's been 2 weeks since their last game. I mentioned both teams had the bye. So there have been 2 weeks since their last game. So maybe he plays. If he doesn't play, I really think Kansas gets this done, but it's a little bit more cloudy if he plays.
Yeah, it's the explosive plays too that Kansas has to stop. They only rank 103rd in defensive explosiveness, so they allow a lot of that. But both teams really do. Now, the big difference is really the EPA on offense, where Kansas is 31st and Kansas State is 69th. I really see problems with both defenses here. Maybe, some people will look at an over, but it's also hard to bet overs on rivalries. You see things happen all the time where it starts slow, and maybe a live over. I think you jump in this situation here. Bobby's like, as a Kansas native, nonpartisan, please let Kansas win this one. So I get it. OBT is out for the year now for Kansas State. So there's a little bit of injury information there from our good friend Bobby. Thank you, Bobby, for that. No, I'm with you. I'm more money line, but I'm with you. Let's move on to the next game. Texas versus Mississippi State. Mississippi State +7, total 45.5 in this one. Ron, I don't know what the hell is wrong with this market. I'm going back to the well. I don't know why. I've been fading Texas, making money fading Texas. I faded them last week. Kentucky almost went. Now they're freaking road chalk. Should that quarterback that's got all this pressure on him and Manning be road chalk? I saw a commercial with Manning, like he's some NFL player already. I'm like, seriously? It's like he's got a lot of pressure on him. But, man, Mississippi State, cowbell time. This game's going to be a little bit later, so it's going to have some darkness to it. Oh, this is going to be a tough environment for the young kid. And the Bulldogs, like Bobby said earlier, it was either Bobby or Andrew said that defense is a little bit underrated for Mississippi State. Hell yeah, they are. They've really improved from last year. They took it to heart how many points they gave up last year, and they've been way better. The Bulldogs, they're very good. 33rd on offensive success rate, 49th on EPA. The Longhorns, 102nd in success rate, 91st in EPA. Solid defense, ranking 9th, but that doesn't give you margin on the road. I'm shocked that this line's where it's at. I think it keeps going down. Find your 7 and take it. There's one on DraftKings. Blake Shapen should have won at Florida last week. He made a bad decision. Probably eating them a little bit. Jeff Levy's going to have this team fired up. I'm taking the Bulldogs, Mississippi State. Cowbells, baby.
Yeah, I would lean that way as well. My power ratings actually think the line should be over 7 points. So we can't get it that way. But teams with really high expectations, think Clemson. When the losses pile up, they just kind of phone it in. Think Penn State, too. They had a loss, then they had a second loss, then they didn't show up against Northwestern. There are things when they shoot for the stars and miss that it's kind of a down year, a lost year for them. And I think that's why the line is where it is, despite what maybe some conventional power ratings would have it. The way I would look at this game is that Florida scored 29 points, I believe, on Texas. Oklahoma, with a hobbled quarterback, was held to 6 points. Kentucky doesn't have much of an offense. They were held to 13 points. My numbers suggest that Mississippi State should score at least 20 points in this game. So if Mississippi State scores at least 20 points in this game, I think this is tricky, higher scoring than people think, because I like Mississippi State's offense. And I think Texas hasn't played that many really good or really healthy offenses the last 2 years. So I don't know what your take is on that, but I think this could be a sneaky high scoring game.
Sneaky high scoring. That's again, yeah. Bobby likes the under a little bit, so a little disagreement that way. I don't know. I'm impartial to the total on this one. I just think that for a side and the environment definitely shades towards Mississippi State. What about the next game here? You picked this one, and Ron picking an Alabama game. That I was like, wow, are you feeling okay, Ron? Alabama versus South Carolina. This is back up to 12.5. It's kind of been bouncing between 13.5 down to 11.5. It's at 12.5. I'm going to call it 12.5. Kind of in the middle there. Total 47.5. Well, let's hear what you got on this one.
Yeah, me picking an SEC game is hard enough as it is, because historically for 40 years, I'm a 49.5% handicapper in the SEC, even though I like the defensive struggle games. Last 2 years, I was really good. I really improved that. Bowl season, I'm about 75% in the SEC, but that's a whole different handicapping metric when you do bowls. Regular season this year, I think 3-5 in the SEC. So why am I picking this game? Because I want to go out of my comfort zone a little bit in terms of this. Right. I like Alabama's quarterback, and I like a lot of things Alabama is doing with their offense, but their defense is still allowing, corrected for sacks, about 5 yards per carry. We've seen Beamer Ball, pull some things due to special teams play and defense where you think they're no good and then they cover these double-digit spreads. Is Alabama really serious and focused on this particular game? Sellers, I wish he were more 100% healthy. He needs to use his legs in this game. I think there's a path to moving the chains if Sellers uses his legs in this game. I just think that, while not a top 5 selection or anything from me, I just think South Carolina is going to be pesky in this game. And I just don't see a complete shutdown defense from Alabama. So I'm going to go with South Carolina plus the points.
All right. Well, that is interesting. It's a contrarian play. There's some people that are really on Bama and just think South Carolina's offense is so bad. But this is a place that I think Sellers has to sell himself. I guess Sellers, right? No, yeah. He's got to sell himself to everybody after like how he's played. This has been a terrible offense, and it's been better in the past. So I don't disagree with you. My numbers have it lower. My power ratings have this like an 8.5 point spread, and I didn't bet it because I was a little worried yet. Curious where it goes. I'm wondering if this was worth the wait. Maybe I can get this all the way back to maybe like a 13.5. 4 straight W's versus ranked teams takes a toll. Bobby knows he's a Bama guy. So there you go. I agree. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm going to be impartial to this one. And even though my numbers agree with Ron's side on this one, let's move on to the next game. Baylor versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati plus 4.5, total 66.5, a very high total, Ron. One of the bigger totals of the weekend, clearly. Well, I'm a sucker for Baylor. I'm going to still be a sucker for Baylor, man. This is both fast pace, really. 36 in offensive EPA for Baylor, 63rd on defense. Not that great of a team. But, man, it's been a rough schedule. They had to open up at home against Auburn, and Auburn really scored and ran all over him. But Baylor's been backdooring a lot of spreads, and when Cincinnati's been holding that favorite role, they've been getting backdoored. They're great against the spread in general because they've been a dog most of the time. But against Bowling Green, you saw that. Against UCF, they get in and get 2 points. That was a really frustrating game for me because I laid it with Cincinnati minus 10.5, and UCF gets it to 11 and goes for 2. Yeah, that was fun.
I appreciated that.
You were very contrarian on that. It killed me. The big problem with the Bearcats is that they've had the easiest schedule in the Big 12, I guess, next to BYU. They haven't played anybody with a pulse minus Iowa State, I guess, and their schedule ranked 71st on Sagarin. Baylor played the toughest teams, Auburn, TCU, I guess Kansas State, but, this Baylor team is a covering machine, in my opinion. I think they're going to cover again this week. I just think the spread's too far. I would make it 3. I would make it 3 to 3.5 tops. I took it at a little bit better of a number, but 4.5 still good for me to give this out. And Baylor's in a desperate situation. They're trying to make the Big 12 title game. This is gonna be close. Baylor plus 4.5.
I made the line 3.5 via the power ratings. I agree with what you said there. For all I said about Cincinnati being an improving team, they're still allowing 67% through the air. And Sawyer Robertson's one of my favorite stretch the field quarterbacks. You see a lot of quarterbacks, they complete 20 passes for 150 yards and you're saying, oh, dink and dunk, dink and dunk. When Sawyer completes 20 passes, it's for 280 yards. I mean, he stretches the field. So I have no doubt that this is going to be a track meet. In fact, I know it's a high total, but I'm wondering where the total goes, because if it goes down just a little bit, I think I might even be on the over in this particular game. I can see Cincinnati winning by a little bit more than that, but Baylor's has the back door open, like you said, because Cincinnati's pass defense is not there. It's probably the weak link of the team right now. Both kickers are really good. They're combined 19 out of 20. So I don't think either team's going to squander scoring opportunities. So it looks like a back and forth game. And since he's too tough for Baylor, just allows way too many points, but they can get it back in a hurry just as well. So track meet.
Track meet it is. And it could end up all over the place, but that's when you see this happening back and forth. You're like, oh, at least I have plus 4.5 points, It's like one of those.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how I feel that this one's going to bounce, Ron. So good points. How about this one? Right in my backyard. Houston versus ASU. ASU is laying 7.5, total 46.5. Andrew might know a little bit about this too. He's an AZ guy. What do you think about this, Ron?
Yeah, I said I was going to go out of my comfort zone, so I'm going to do that again. That's what brainstorming is all about. I play in college, probably 90% of my plays are straight plays, maybe more. But this week, I kind of like a couple of over-unders, so I wanted to toss this one out to you. Looking at my notes, given the recent score sheets that we've seen for both teams, everybody may expect points to flow, but I'm going to be contrarian here. I think this creates some undervalue. Arizona State's last 4 opponents have more firepower than Houston has. I think they're playing a softer offensive team here. And that maybe even their last 6 opponents, if you want to go back a little bit further. Also, Houston's defense is generally average or above average in a lot of different areas. So that's going to be something that ASU has to worry about. ASU closed with a flurry against Texas Tech last week to pull it out, but their offense wasn't on full display either as their quarterback came back. Now, obviously, they have a great wide receiver in Tyson, but overall, I just think this is a good spot to say, hey, maybe this over-under is inching a little bit high. These teams are more, to me, close to the vest. Houston wants to make this a game in the low 20s. Arizona State doesn't mind playing defenses as well. So I'm going to go with an unconventional, for me, over-under play with the under in this one.
Spot after beating Texas Tech. So I would say this should be 6.5 really, and not 7, but now it's down to 7. So it's weird. I got to conflict. My numbers are 7.5. I take a point away, 6.5. I mean, I'm too close to bet it anyway, but yeah. Andrews thinks ASU can't score in the red zone. I agree with that. They do since losing Scadaboo, they've had a lot of struggles doing that. Houston quarterback play is and pace not conducive to overs in general, and that's very true. You only see Houston go over when they're playing teams like Oklahoma State, right? It's like they almost go over themselves. It's one of those situations. So I think Houston went to Oregon State, and that went to 51, and I was like, what? That's Oregon State. But yeah, no, I'm with you on the under. I wouldn't take over in this game either. So there you have it. I'll give you the lean to the under. All right, good stuff. Let's do a little hodgepodge then, man. Where about this Toledo Washington State game? I find it very interesting that Washington State's just a 1.5 and the total's 46.5. Well, Washington State had Virginia dead nuts last week. Of course, I was on the over that game, and when I was thinking I was getting overtime 20-20, and the freaking safety happens, Ron, I knew that was dead as soon as the safety was happening. I was like, no chance now. By the way, if you ever see a safety happen like that, slam the under immediately live, because the books they don't even know what to do half the time. And neither does their algorithms, right? I mean, this is weird. The line tells me Toledo might be the right side here, but Toledo's been extremely embarrassing in situations too. It's one of those you have to kind of hold your nose and dive in if you feel the need. I feel like there's just so much variance to this Washington State team. I don't even know left from right, Ron. Any quick thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think there's variance on both teams. I show value with my power ratings on Toledo, but power ratings don't work on Toledo. Jason Campbell, I probably should have more consideration for him as getting into my bottom 5 coaches list, because you're talking 2 to 3 games a year he seems to lose as a double-digit favorite, which doesn't apply here. So maybe Toledo blows him out. This is such a high variance game for me that I'm just going to watch and learn. Washington State with an entirely new staff. I don't think they played last week. I don't remember, but that's good for the staff to recalibrate. So I could go either way on this game. I probably trust Washington State more, but I'd rather just leave it alone.
Yeah, I'm thinking that as well. And Bobby's not going to play it either. Andrew likes Oklahoma State plus 38.5. I mean, they have scored the last few weeks at least. They're at Texas Tech. Is Baron Morton even playing this game? Why would you even play Baron Morton in this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably stay away because we don't know as far as Texas Tech. Oklahoma State has lost the most power rating points of any team since the start of the year for me. They're down 17.5 power rating points, which is enormous. Florida State last year, I thought that was enormous with 24 power rating points lost in their dismal 2-10 season. Oklahoma State is probably quit for the year. I can't touch them.
San Diego State at Fresno. It's interesting seeing San Diego State laying some 3-point road chalk. Man, the coach has been good down there. Like I said, San Diego State's one of my most improved teams, but at 3 now, that's just a little high for me to get involved in this game. I think the total is probably about right at 47.5. What do you think?
It's a weird game because San Diego State's defense has absolutely excelled this year. They're also on a 4-game spread winning streak, and of course, straight up, they've been doing great stuff as well, while Fresno has not covered the last few games. So it's really a contrarian play here. I don't know how I get the stat sheet to agree with me, but the side I would look at would be Fresno State.
Okay, fair enough. It's going to be raining in the Northwest, and Wisconsin's going to be playing Oregon. There's going to be storms. It's going to be a rainy day. I don't know if there could be delays in these games with lightning and everything too. It's funny as a Badger fan, it's like, are we going to go another week without scoring a point? It's been quite embarrassing. It's really tough. But I'll tell you this, man, it's like, I think Oregon can name their score even in the rain against this Badger team. They're so bad. Some people are taking Badgers under 7.5 as the team total. How freaking embarrassing is that? I wouldn't disagree with it. I think Oregon's got to show some defense now that they lost to Indiana. I still think that they're thinking about that and trying to, impress the committee and impress, the Big Ten and national media. And my numbers are 30, but I still would play Oregon if I had to play it.
Yeah, my numbers are, I think I'm trying to find that game. There it is. My numbers are 30 also. So 29.5, 30. But I don't want any part of this game, especially if weather is involved. I don't know I don't know Fickle. Fickle better than me. Can he rally the troops? Can he get them to play hard? Are they quitting on him? Those are questions I would need answered.
Okay, I'll answer them for you. Yes, they're quitting. He cannot rally the troops, and he's proven that multiple times. BC at Louisville. You know what's interesting about this is Louisville's in a flat spot. Yeah, they just beat Miami, but they do have a couple extra days of rest. But they also have that one loss. Louisville does need to get some points here. They're not out of this Big 12 race either. ACC race either. I don't know. 25.5. Boston College has just turned into just booty cheeks. Is that what they're saying on the internet now? That's what Boston College is right with Wisconsin there. So there you go.
Yeah, well, with Boston College, I don't understand with the coach and with how well regarded he is. They're 1-6. They haven't beat a real team. I think they won a no-line game to start the year. There's some quit there. If I had to play, I would play Louisville. I'd rather lay 24. I wouldn't touch it anywhere over 24. I like the one thing, Louisville off an emotional win, so you have to worry about that. But they had one extra day. They played, I think, on a Friday, and every day matters when you're off an emotional win. So maybe Louisville concentrates and takes care of business.
Funny, Andrew's like BC, Boston College equals booty cheeks. Yeah, maybe that was in my subconscious there. There you go. BC does stand for that, don't they? LSU is playing Texas A&M. I mean, I guess this was probably the biggest marquee matchup, I would say, of the week. Because Texas A&M is a ranking of number 3. I think I have them number 5 or 6 in my power ratings. LSU, they're LSU. They're Brian Kelly. One of those situations where if it was 3.5, I'd be all over LSU, but it's not. It's 2.5, and I understand A&M. And is Nussmeier actually healthy? I don't know. I tell you this, this is a better freaking win or get the hell out of town spot for LSU, and Texas A&M can't afford a loss now. I'll lean LSU. I think my numbers have it pick them. Okay.
Well, this is the hodgepodge section, and this was the one game I would have contributed to the hodgepodge section because I'm really intrigued by this game. I'm looking. Your numbers are pick 'em. I think my numbers are right around there as well. My numbers are LSU by 1.
Okay, I'm way off on you because my numbers aren't pick 'em. I was looking at the wrong screen. My numbers are -3 for A&M. I'm higher on A&M. I'm higher on A&M than the marketplace, Rod. So I guess by a little, I guess. But so you would lean LSU, I guess.
I'm supposed to play LSU at +3 because it's also been this is a massively one-sided home team series. LSU wins when they're at home in the series. A&M wins when they're at home in the series. Kelly is so volatile. He's likely to fire 4 coaches between now and game day or something like that. And he scares me so much. And the effort they put in last week wasn't good enough. The stat sheets are so near identical in almost every area. It's really amazing. I think A&M is better coached. I don't know why they gave up 42 points to Arkansas, though Petrino is a very good offensive mind.
Oh, it was a fired spot. You got to, the coach fired spot.
Yeah, I understand that. And Petrino knows the offense and stuff like that. Still, the team should have been in different directions. I think I'll probably end up with something on LSU, but I'll probably regret it.
How's that? On time here, funny, Andrew says, last time to bet on Texas A&M could be last straw for Kelly. You know how many times I've heard last straw for Kelly when he was at Notre Dame? I've heard that just too much in my life. This is the last straw for Kelly. He always seems to survive and just win stupid shit like this.
He should have stayed at Notre Dame because with the nil and everything else, Notre Dame can do what everybody else could do. He left Notre Dame because he thought they couldn't buy enough players to win a championship. So now he's at LSU and everybody buys players.
Thank God for the Irish to make that change too. Vandy -2.5 last game. We got to talk real quick. My power ratings have this at -2, not 2.5. I feel that Missouri is disrespected a little bit, and they're probably going to play that role. If you're betting Vandy, you're betting on Pavia every single week. You're betting on him to not let down ever. And he really hasn't. But the dude's like, 30 years old? He's like NFL prime quarterback age. I don't know. He's pretty old. I got to check. But, and he's playing against a young kid. And it starts with the B, whatever. he's from Penn State. He is just still a little young to be on the road, you know. I'm going to lean Vanderbilt. I haven't gotten to the window yet. I feel like it'd be a money line play for me, Ron.
I'm just going to sit and watch it. I have too many conflicting things. I think Missouri isn't quite as good as
Prabula. It just came to my mind. Bo Prabula.
Okay. Yeah. I think there's some problems with Missouri that haven't surfaced yet. They're well coached, obviously. Vandy, Pavia. How can you go against them? I think it's sit and watch for me.
All right, sit and watch it. It's fine with me. Beer bet bangers. So you know, I'm just gonna be simple here. I'm going with Ole Miss, or not Ole Miss. I'm going the Cowbell, Mississippi State, the Bulldogs. Upsets Texas this week, plus 215. You could probably even get better than that if you shop that thing. Let's see what FanDuel is. That was DraftKings. This is they have the Texas Vandy line out next week. Plus 215, let's just call it.
Okay. I could see that. It was in consideration for me. I have 2 or 3 others that are in consideration. I want to see what the movement is. So I'm just gonna, for this purposes, say go big or go home. You know, let's just say I was there when South Carolina beat Alabama.
All right. And Bobby's all on Vandy all day too. So there you go. What's your beer bet banger?
South Carolina. I'm gonna go big or go home.
So you're going with that one. My bad. All right. Sorry.
Why not? I mean, it may not happen at all because Simpson is that good for Alabama, but there is a pathway for South Carolina if Sellers is healthy enough to run the ball, and with Beamer's special team play, there's a pathway to change the narrative in this game.
All right. South Carolina parlayed with Mississippi State money line, baby. Let's do it. Let's throw some beer money on that one too. I'm going to, because I think that could absolutely happen. Why not? Let's have a little fun with that. It's going to piss off Bobby, man. Here we are. Well, you know what doesn't piss off guys is hearing you on the show, because you're such a great college football mind. We love when you stop by and educate us. Ron, could you let our listeners and viewers know where they can get your great information and plays?
Well, Kiev, thanks for having me on. It was good to be back on the air physically as well. In just a few minutes, I'll be on with Las Vegas Chris as we go over our brainstorming session in the NFL. So I get like 3-minute break, and then I'll be back. Tomorrow, the Inside Blitz with Ted Sobel, a couple of other shows that I do with Jeff Dawson, the East Coast. So it'll be a busy week this week as I get back into it. Thanks for having me again. Great weekend again of college football. Everybody enjoy the games and bet wisely.
Thanks for all the guys in the chat. Ron, best of luck this weekend with all your plays. We'll be talking.